Hello and welcome back to the Cheese Room podcast. It feels like forever since we've been here seeing Harry Kane score goals. But we are back. We are live. It is Friday night and we are talking transfers tonight. So we're really excited to welcome everybody to the show. Firstly, all the way from Brazil, it is Brendan McGurty. Brendan, you got out of your dare last time you were on the YouTube channel. I wonder what will happen if we get to 150 likes tonight.
Yeah, no one wanted to see that. No one wanted to see that. But the thing is, I'm going to Mexico, flying to Mexico tonight at 4 a.m. So maybe something Mexican.
You got a sombrero to hand or
tequila?
Yeah, I've got tequila. Yeah, do a shot of tequila. I'll do a shot of tequila.
I mean, just one shot of tequila? It's got to be more than that. A double.
A double shot of tequila. No, I'll do one shot for every 100 likes.
Boom, there you go. You heard it here first. So smash that like button up. There's 25 people watching already. We've been going a minute. At this rate, we could be at 100 likes in 4 minutes. So smash the like button and let's see Brendan do some tequila. Are you going to lemon and salt and all that shit as well?
Lemon, yeah. Just a bit of zest
lime,
at the end.
It's supposed to be lime, but yeah.
Anyway,
I digress. Joining us, as ever, from Vienna, it's the Harlow Globetrotter. And is it true the reason we were running late is because you were eating pancakes?
Absolutely. Well, it's not the reason we were running late. I just put that, to kind of get you off the hook a little bit. But I am eating pancakes. I'm doing okay. Life is good.
Well, it's great to have you back on HG.
Hang on. Brendan, why are you flying at 4:00? Is that like Brazil's answer to Ryanair or what?
Yeah, but I've got to go to Sao Paulo first. So my connection's in Sao Paulo. So the flight from Sao Paulo is at 9:30. So I'm flying at 4 a.m. to get to Sao Paulo, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. There you go. And I'm counting down the days to my holiday, Brendan. I'm very jealous of you. Mexico's
a holiday.
Oh, come on, it is. I know you've got to say that, but we all know that there'll be more drinking than working going on. Fair comment.
It's networking.
Joining us from the South Coast, apparently he looks like Gary Neville. Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm not sure about that, if I'm honest. But it is his birthday today. Happy birthday, John.
Thank you very much.
And how are you?
Celebratory beverage.
Yeah, what's the beverage of choice?
That one's there's a bit of that. Gordon's peach.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of another gin and some mixers and stuff. And frozen fruit.
Frozen fruit. Lovely. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And making her Cheese Room debut, Kerry, how are you this evening? Welcome to the Cheese Room.
Hello, thank you. Bear with me because this is the first podcast I've ever done. So you're either welcome or you're not. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, look, if after an hour and 20 minutes HG hasn't insulted you, called you stupid, or shouted at you...
Which he's already done anyway.
Welcome back on. He's on mute. That's a shame. There you go. There he is. Look at him. Just looks angry. Right, before we get into it, we had a mass debate on the WhatsApp chat this week. Coldplay or ABBA? So let us know your vote. Coldplay or ABBA? Who do you prefer? Now, I'm saying Coldplay because I'm young-ish. And HG's saying ABBA because he remembers them first time round. So
hang on a second. What I said was that ABBA is better than Coldplay. I didn't think either were any good, but I do think ABBA are better than Coldplay.
I think if you left me with a choice of either of them, Kane just scored again. No, they're just replaying his goals from the first half. I think he must be going off as a sub then or something. Yeah.
Caller.
It's all right. It's like a watch along. Oh, yeah, he's being subbed. Thank God for that. He's not going to get injured. Happy days.
Yay.
Right. Less reason for you to watch the football. Get on there. Right. So, yeah, let us know. There's a ABBA any day. Coldplay is got 40-year-old virgin.
It's 40-year-old virgin jokes. Do you know how I know you're gay? You like Coldplay. Like it's a 40-year-old virgin joke.
Well, I'm just agreeing with Stuart. ABBA is definitely for old people. Thank you very much.
I agree, but better than Coldplay.
So let's get straight into it. We're going to talk transfers tonight, and you can get involved at home. Chuck in a super chat. Send us your message. please do like, subscribe while you're here as well. So close to 3,000 subscribers. We'll have a 3,000 subscriber party when we get there. We could get there tonight with your help. So do please smash that button. Transfers. Right. Quick question. Feeling of the room. Are we going to get some new players in January? Brendan?
Oh, I think we will. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll be many. I think we spoke about this on the audio pod this week. That for me, I'd reckon 2 in, 2 out, maximum 3 in, 3 out. But there's definitely going to be activity. Conte wouldn't have come if he wasn't given some kind of guarantees that there will be funds to spend.
Oh,
We've lost you, Brent. We've lost your audio for some reason.
Oh shit!
You're back now, I think. Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, my mic's dodgy. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're going to see whose contract expires next year as well. Be it get them on a cheap in January or for a free in the summer. But yeah, there's definitely going to be activity in January.
Absolutely. I can see we've got several members in the chat already. Shout out to the members. If you want to join and become a channel member, the link is indeed in the pinned message at the top. And check out Patreon. We've had loads of new patrons recently. Details are in the scrolling ticker below. Right. Which position, HG, do you think is the most urgent one?
Can I phone a friend? Most urgent striker.
Is the right answer.
No.
Kerry disagrees. Go on, Kerry.
Kerry?
Playmaker. We definitely need some creativity in there. Got to have some. Because we've already got Kane. We've got Son who can create goals. But we've just got nobody just pushing it in the third to get... You know, you need Kane in the box. You don't need Kane back playing... I mean, Kane's trying to do all sorts of positions at the minute.
Yeah, no, agree. Okay. Well, here's a question for you, John.
Yeah.
Will we sign one sensible player in January or one last-minute Enix-style player in January? What do you think?
I think we'll sign 2 players at least 2 days before the deadline.
Yeah.
I'm hoping much earlier than that.
That's very positive. I am quite interested in this. Loving some of the chat. Stuart, I think if we don't get some players in January, Conte will walk before February begins. Yeah, possibly. Very angry Italian man on the case. If Kane gets injured, we have no striker, of course. Striker to backup, a proper striker or a proper stroker. David, I'm assuming. I mean, that sounds exotic. If I'm honest, I'm assuming you mean striker, which is great. Yeah, exactly. And Big Pap says, or Pape says, nothing like some pancakes with maple and a square of butter. They're not those kind of pancakes, though, are they, HG?
No, they are those kind of pancakes. They're the big American style kind of pancakes.
They're not pancakes.
Yeah, well, no, but yeah, they are. They are. They're
Not
just American style pancakes. Yeah, but not with
like
butter.
McDonald's.
I can't do butter. No syrup, yes, but not butter.
I mean, I'm not dissing your pancakes, but a squeeze of lemon and some sugar.
Lemon and sugar all the way.
Yeah,
You know.
if you go up, you scroll up, you'll see my comment on an English pancake, sugar and lemon, definitely. But on an American one, actually, I like chocolate chips in the middle of the batter. They're the best ones. But as my wife makes them and I don't really care, do I?
Is a question. What do you think of this, Brendan? Busy transfer January transfer window. Thoughts with Steve Hitchen at still got time. What's Steve Hitchen going to do?
He's going to be making tea. He's going to be he'll be helping Paratici out. He's going to be giving him massages like Gareth in the office does for David Brent. He's going to be just be the support act that he is. He's going to be the Torval to his Dean, the Richard to his Judy. Like, he's just going to be there helping out while Paratici works his magic. In Italy, there are loads of players that have their contracts running out next year, including Insigne, Dybala, Kessié, Brozovic, really good players in Italy. So you know it's going to be all about Paratici, and Hitchin's just going to be there with his little egghead helping out.
Following him around, like, shepherding.
Giving him high fives.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something then, birthday boy.
No.
Yeah. Just giving him high fives. It's a
Yeah.
fair comment. What does Steve Hitchin do? I read this. Yeah, it's been said we can spend 400 million without FFP problems. What do you think the chances are, Kerry, of us spending 400 million in the January transfer window?
Diddly squat. I mean, is Kane off to Man City? Because there's rumours going on there, flying around on Twitter again.
All right, well,
Hopefully not.
Let's start there then. John, chances of this one? Mr. Kane off the City?
Well, not in January.
In January?
If it's going to happen, it'll be in the summer. City still need a striker, don't they? That is the missing link. Is he the one to have? Surely they can get Haaland. And I think he would finish the jigsaw off for City, wouldn't he?
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I was reading Steve's comment. And then Mbappe, where's he going to go?
Well, it's a very good question. I'm willing to bet probably not Spurs.
I'd love it though. Imagine that would be good, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Dare to dream.
Those dreams.
And
Dare
do a
to
little
do.
deal with.
Hold on.
Poch.
We'd have to drop Lucas Moura then. What are we going to do then? Tough call.
Oh, that's a tough one. That is.
Brendan, how do you feel about this Lucas hate? Is he on a way? You love Lucas. Is he on his way out?
I don't love Lucas.
You love him a little bit.
My son is called Lucas, and no, I didn't name him after Lucas. He's 9 years old, but
Lucas Leiva. You named him after Lucas Leiva.
Lucas Leiva. Oh, the Liverpool guy.
Yeah.
No, I don't love him. I'd be happy to see him go. I think he's a saleable asset because when we have to shift players as well as bring them in, and we have to shift players that have a value. At this right now, Lucas's value is probably higher than Dele's, probably higher than maybe Lo Celso's even in terms of the fact that he's been putting in performances. So I think I can see Lucas going in the summer. I don't think he's a Conte player. He doesn't have the ability, doesn't have the technical ability. He runs, he puts his head down and runs. I'd be happy to see him go. So I'm not a huge Lucas lover. That ship has sailed.
Well, I'm
yeah, but
interested to see
Conte does improve every single player, apparently, doesn't he? From what I've been reading. So can he get a tune out of Moura? Because he's just a smidgen off being really good. If he's just got that final bit.
Brent?
Is he a magician as well? Conte? I agree. He does turn players like Brozovic. He turned Brozovic from a number 10 to a low-lying playmaker. So I'd like to see Brozovic alongside Højbjerg or Skip. And same with Victor Moses. Like he turned Victor Moses into one of the best right wing backs in the Premiership and won the league with him. So I agree. He does improve players. He does see things in players that they may not see themselves. But I just think we've seen enough from Lucas. He doesn't have the end product.
We'll always have Amsterdam. Brendan, your mic's gone again.
Oh, he's gone again.
Out on it.
Quite an apt time, I think. Yeah.
The Amsterdam thing. I was thinking the two games he scored hat-tricks, Huddersfield and Ajax. He was playing alongside Llorente, wasn't he? And he's never really been a goal threat apart from the odd tap-in. Apart from those goals.
I got the Huddersfield hat-trick and I was there.
It was a good hat-trick, but he had Llorente up front with him.
Very true. Very true. This is interesting. Man City can only spend 85 million according to that report. HG, do Man City give a shit about that report?
Probably not. No. I mean, like it's one of those things that the thing with the FFP is that if we spend, if we've got 400 million to spend and we spend it all in one window, then we're screwed for the next, I don't know how long. Like, I think it is done over a rolling time period, right? So yeah, it's all a bit confusing as to really how much of that, yes, we could, but I mean, if you look at that graph, I think Everton was like minus 30 or something like that. Like they actually have to sell.
Well, they didn't really spend in the summer, did they, on the back of that? No,
I think that's part of it, is that this FFP thing, yes, obviously it matters to than others. City will just either take it to court or pay the fine or whatever they'll do, because by the time the bill is ready to be paid, they don't care anymore. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't think any of us have seen that number before, but I guess I can understand it. We don't spend what we earn. We haven't done it in a long time. So even though we'll make a big loss because of the last year being behind closed doors, it'll be interesting to see exactly whether I think his name is Kieran Maguire, the professor, whether he factored that in or whether it's based on the results that we haven't got yet. So yeah, who knows? But Man City won't care. Absolutely not.
The accountant
also with the financial fair play thing. Aren't things paid in installments as well? So the 85 million, even if we sold Kane for 150, they're not going to pay that right away. They'll pay 50 now, 50 next year, 50 the following year. So these figures from financial fair play, do they really mean anything?
It's a good question. We should ask the accountant to come on the show.
Can I just say, I read the report in the Daily Mail, and I thought there was a pretty significant negative stance towards Spurs. The idea that, Levy knows how to run a business, but that's not the point of a football club. It was very much like, I'm just going to get a few digs in here on Daniel for whatever personal reason. I understand. Huh?
Levy out.
Yeah, there you go. We've said it. We've said it once, so it must be right. Levy out for a drink, maybe sometime with Diver and his friends.
Yeah, I think Steve's right. It is over 3 years, and you can lose 35 million a year, so 105 average over that time period. The trouble is, we might be able to, in theory, spend 400 million. The last set of accounts said we had 230 odd million on the balance sheet, but we've probably lost 60 or 70, I'm guessing, in the last 12 months where there was no crowds. We'll find out in a couple of weeks, and Steve Diver will talk us through it, no doubt.
Steve will dive into the accounts.
Hey.
See what I did there?
Looking forward to that. That'd be interesting.
I mean, it will be for people who love numbers. And Sam points out the figures are also a year out of date. This is always the way when you're looking at accounts like this. Levy, Antonio, you have 4 million to spend in January. Go and spend whatever you spend from raise from player sales. It's probably more likely to happen, to be honest. Right, who's going to go then? I'm going to give you some names. I've got 4 names on my sheet here. So I'm going to ask you each around what you think of those players and have they got a future at the club, or would you sell them in January? So let's come to you first, John, on the second. As it's your birthday, I'm giving you the first one.
Cheers.
Delhi.
I just can't see who's going to buy him. I'd get rid of him, but who's going to take him, honestly? I think it'll be a loan. So it's a case of getting
Boohoo.com.
I'm sure there's some gaming companies that would like him for a bit of branding. I think realistically we might get a loan fee and get his wages off the wage bill for a while, with possibly a fee agreed at the end of certain criteria. But I just can't see who's going to want to take him. As Brent said on the pod last night, he's been rubbish for 2 or 3 years. So. And the way that we play doesn't really suit him, so he's going to have to adapt his game to stay playing under Conte.
Wow. Well, there you go. Does anyone disagree with that? No.
I mean, I would keep him. So I guess I disagree with that.
Why would you keep him?
Because we're actually going to be playing attacking football for the first time in 2.5 years. And that's what he excels at. That's why.
It'd be interesting to see after these 2 weeks that Conte's purely had with Dele and the other players that have stayed there. It'll be interesting to see if they do get played and we see a difference in them.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we've got a game every 3 days between the Leeds game and mid-January, something stupid like that. So there's going to be chances. He'll get minutes, whether it's Conference League or Carabao Cup or Brentford at home or midweek games somewhere. Dele will get minutes, I'm sure of that, because we can't do anything until January anyway. So he will get a chance. But for me, as I've said this from the start, he's a striker. He's a second striker. If we go 2 up top, if we play on the front foot, because we haven't done that for a very long time, that will help Dele. It's that simple.
Well, okay, so we've been playing negative football for two and a half years, like you say, and I'm on board with that to a certain extent. But Kane has delivered. Son has delivered. Why isn't Dele? It can't just be the system. The player has to take some responsibility as well.
Yeah, but they were playing in their rightful position as strikers, and Dele hasn't. That's the difference.
So what do you think, HG? How do we get Dele back to his best? Obviously,
you play him as close to Kane as possible. Simply.
So what would that mean? We don't have Son, or we play Son and Kane with Dele just behind.
I would play two up top, right?
You would, or you wouldn't?
Yeah.
But he's been played in a hole. But he's been played behind Kane with Son. Or is it? So are you saying that the issue is?
I didn't say that. I said as close to Kane as possible, right? So I don't. What do you want a front three? I want 5-3-2 or 3-5-2 or however you want to call it. But if we're going to play with two strikers, it's Kane and Dele, or Kane and Son, or Son and Dele. Either of those, I think, are fine. They've played with each other and they know each other's games. If you put him in midfield, it doesn't help. If you play defensive, it doesn't help. Like, to me, that's the biggest thing with Dele. You've got to give him. We've got to have the ball around their area. All he ever did when we was good at Spurs was score goals. He wasn't really involved in them that much, but he was always on the end of things, and that's why he got 15 league goals that season, 17 league goals the season we were really good. Like, I realise it is the last chance, but there are plenty of players in world football who are only good at one particular thing, and if they got to play that role, they excelled for a very long time. And I just think that, when Dele came in after that game on the All or Nothing documentary, was it the Leipzig home game or something in the Champions League? And he walks in, is like effing, hitting it long, defending and just hitting it long. Well, yeah, that's not Dele's game. He doesn't have the pace. He can't hold the ball up. So, of course, that's not going to be his game. But if we have the ball, if we dominate possession, and we allow him to do what he does best, which I think we all know what he does best, then we have a chance of seeing that Dele again. But until then, we don't.
It's been a long time since we've seen his best. I think
because we haven't played attacking football. That's the point. We haven't played it. Of course it is. What else could it be?
His form has dropped off a cliff.
Because we haven't played attacking football.
It's not just a system. It's not just a system.
Well, what is it then? Tell me what it is.
His form, his ability.
Why? Tell me why.
He's a symbol of the culture of comfort that has engulfed this team.
That's got nothing to do with the football. Tell me why. No, it doesn't. You can blame the manager for the culture because Mourinho. You can blame Nuno. You can blame Mason. You can blame anyone else because they're responsible. Dele, everything on Dele. Look, he's not playing. We all know that, but there are reasons as to why. And to say, well, suddenly he's to blame for everything that's gone wrong, I'm not having that.
Didn't say that. I think
you did. You said culture. You took it off the foot. You took it off the football pitch. Tell me why he's playing. I don't tell you what you're doing in the training pitch. That's crazy.
To be fair,
your sound's breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you can have a wee look.
Probably good.
Sorry, Kerry, go on.
When Dele was told to track back, to be fair, he was trying and he was putting in the effort. He might not have been very good at it, but so I don't think the effort's gone.
Bren?
No, I think Alone are doing good. We're not going to get much for him. Maybe go to Burnley, like you play him with Chris Woods, like I said, to HG, playing alongside Chris Woods, see what happens. I think that why not? Well, he's worth what?
That summer now he's going to Burnley. Are you serious?
Why not? The Premier League team.
Why not? Signed a contract for Burnley. He won't.
Why wouldn't he go to Burnley? He wants to stay in the Premier League. He's not getting minutes for us. Be it the system, be it the manager.
Remember, that's because he was responsible for the culture of the club. He's the reason why people.
Symbol. I said he was a symbol. He's an example.
But that's not his fault, then, is it? It's not his fault. You can't blame him.
I'm not blaming it. I'm saying he is a symbol. He is an example of the culture of comfort that has engulfed the club. And I think Alone not doing good.
Not Kane, not Son. They were all there as well.
You could say the same about Winks. You could say the same about Lucas.
Don't you worry about Winks.
We do.
So can I ask how, if we start playing attacking football, is Dele going to start playing, as in playing well? Is that what you think?
That's the best chance we have of seeing him play well. Absolutely. Like if you want, like, very rarely will you find attackers that are good. Like, he doesn't have pace, so he can't play on the counter. If you want to play counter-attacking football, you need to have pace in the team. Delhi's never had that. The last 2 years, that's what we've tried to do. So to me, it's pretty simple why he's not looked as good. We haven't had the ball. Like, what are you supposed to do? If you're a goal scorer and your team doesn't have the ball, you've either got to be world-class, like Dunn are, or you're effed. And Delhi isn't world-class. I'm happy to admit that. I'm not saying he is, but you want to put players in the best place where they can do what they're best at. And Delhi hasn't had that for a couple of years. And we all talk about he hasn't played well for 2 years. For one of those years, he didn't play at all. So, you know, like, you can't just say we didn't play, but he didn't play well last year. Well, he didn't play last year.
Danny Tryland and Nuno, he will be good under Conte. I think he's definitely a player that divides opinion, and clearly dividing opinion tonight in the cheese room, which is a good thing. We love a good debate.
I just want to hear a reason. I just want to hear a reason, not a blame.
Right.
Tell me why. Why was he bad?
Before we come back to that, there's 97 people watching HG's head explode, which is fantastic. And there's only 29 likes. So let's just, smash the like button. Brendan's going to do a shot of tequila for every 100 likes. I mean, to be honest, he'd probably do it for 50 if you asked him. Half price,
to be a double,
right?
surely.
Yeah.
I'll do it for air miles. I don't care.
Good stuff. Right. Well, look. John, did you enjoy that? You got Delhi for your birthday, the debate. Let's bring the fire with this one then. I'm going to go to Brendan, Harold Winks.
Again, I'd put him in a similar bracket to Delhi and what have we seen from him?
I need a gin for this one, so I'll be right back.
For Harry, I mean, there were green shoots of positivity from the Vitesse game that he played for Conte. Conte, there were the pictures of him sort of giving him a high five and giving him instructions, and he played okay. So I don't know. I'd maybe pass this on to someone else. I don't think that. I really don't know. Maybe Conte, as Kerry said, can work his magic and get something out of Harry Winks. But again, as with Delhi, we haven't seen anything from him in a few years. And maybe a loan or a move will do him some good and free up a space for a younger or a new player to come in that's a bit more hungry. But what do you think, Kerry?
Can I just ask, has Conte made any comments on which players has he made comments on? Because he's commented on Kane so far, hasn't he, I think? Is there any others that I've heard him comment on yet?
I don't think he's given his view really on many. Skip.
Yeah, he said Skip. He thinks he's a player. So I think it's really waiting on these 2 weeks, really, to see what, because he's got a chance to look at basically the players that he hasn't really played so far much of.
And to be fair,
it will be interesting.
Sorry, Kerry. You could say the same thing about Winks too, right? Like, if the things that made Winks good was when he was next to a defensive midfielder and he could basically recycle the ball. And for, where it was the Champions League run and he had Sissoko kind of being next to him and Eriksen providing the bullets, or when we were really good and he had either, Dembele or Wanyama or someone actually next to him, then we saw the best of him. We saw what he was good at, which he can run with the ball at his feet. And when you're playing counter-attacking football, that's a very dangerous thing to do if you're not the wide men. Like, you don't see counter-attacking football where it's the central midfielder that's running forward with the ball at his feet. So I feel like Winks also has been kind of held back by how he chose to play. I feel like he's a worse footballer than Delhi. So I think that Winks has a bit more to do. But I think the same could be said. Like, you've got to give them a system that works for them. That sounds rough to always blame the system, but, the managers buy players for systems. Good managers have done it. Harry Redknapp did that for us when we played old school 4-4-2. He bought players that fit the system he wanted to do. I think if Harry Winks wants to be an Antonio Conte player, then he has to decide which of those roles fit him best.
He's not good at anything.
No, well,
sorry. He's not good at anything. He can't
through and through, though, caller.
Right, let me tell you. He can't carry a ball effectively. He can't pass. His passing range is terrible. He's not a good tackler. He's not strong on the ball, not a presence. His one piece of skill is like a poor man's Scott Parker. He just rotates non-stop, like trying to shield the ball desperately. He's terrible. He's the worst Spurs midfielder I've seen since, I'm going to offend some people, David Howes. He's terrible. He's not good enough. He really isn't good enough. And quite frankly, he's not going to be part of Conte's team. Conte wants a winning mentality. He's a whining little bitch. Did you hear him at that press conference about not given opportunities and there being a divide in the team? He's not a team player. And Harry Winks, as far as I'm concerned, needs to just chip off. Go. Burnley is his level, not Delhi's, Brendan. I'm telling you now.
Caller, haven't we got a thing where if we do 100 likes, you've got to say lots of positives on Winks? I think you should be practicing for that.
150, I think, Kerry. 150. And there's only 41 likes right now. So if you want to, if you get up to 150, I will say some nice things that I don't mean about Harry Winks. But more importantly, Brendan will do a shot at 50.
I think, hasn't Harry Winks got
clearly
a decent
arrived
shot
in the
on
chat
him, though, as well?
No, he hasn't. He hit one shot from about 40 yards, and it was a complete fluke.
That's the one I remember.
He admitted it was a fluke as well. He admitted, like, even if you didn't mean it, just say, "Yeah, I meant it." Like, he admitted it was a fluke. Come on, be a man.
Be a man and lie openly.
Yes.
I think that tells me a little bit about you, Bren. That's great.
Be a man and admit it. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Look, he's very good at passing the ball backwards. The only time he tried a long pass last season, it went in the back of the net. Well, true. Winks is good at CDM. He might play like Pirlo if he gets confident in the contact. There is more chance of me winning the lottery and I don't buy a ticket. So there you go. Anyone think that we should keep Winks? No.
Only, the only caveat is if he suddenly turns around in the next 6 weeks and does some amazing stuff. But no.
No, Shannon. No, there is no Hario Winksonio. Not happening.
And he at least counts as a homegrown.
All right, the homegrown. I saw a question about this, HGR. Let me try and find it again. Here we go. Can we afford to sell homegrown players like Delhi? Now, I know you've been through this, but just for everyone's benefit, homegrown rules?
Okay, so the homegrown rules are you can have 17 foreign players. That's the rule, right? You can't have more than 17 foreign players. You can have as many homegrown as you want. You can have 0, you can have 10, you can have 20, whatever. You just can't have more than 17 homegrown foreign players, excuse me. If they are under 21, they don't count. So in theory, you could have the 25 best under 21 players in the world. You could be like RB Leipzig, and your official squad would have maybe 3 or 4 players in it because none of them would count because they're all under 21. And so what we find this year is that members of our squad like Skip and Sessegnon and Brian Hill, they don't count towards the 25-man squad. But of course, they do count to the manager because the manager counts them as people that could be available to use. So I think right now we have 13 foreigners. And if you think of some of those foreigners, there'd be quite a few that people would sell. Some people would sell Lucas. Some people would sell Bergwijn. Some people would sell Dyer. They all count as foreigners. And in the homegrown, now we've got 7 that are considered to be first teamers. There are a couple of players in the under 23s that actually count as homegrown because they're 21 up. So we've named the squad, even though I don't think there's any chance of them playing. So personally, I've probably explained that very badly, but we have 4 spots that we can buy, no problems. And if we want to get rid of a couple of English people, no problems. But really, the only thing that matters is that we don't have more than 17 foreigners. And we've only got 13 now. So we can buy 4 and it won't affect anything.
Looks like the full-time whistle has gone in the England game. Did it stay? I think it stayed 5-0 in the end.
It was 5-0, yeah.
Yeah, so, Kane hat-trick puts him 9 goals away from being the joint record goal scorer for England. Let's hope he can bring that form into Spurs next weekend. I think there's so many comments on Winks as well. No one really feeling like we should keep him except for Shannon. She's quite clearly trolling me. Absolutely.
It's not like Shan to wind people up, is it?
Yeah, she's been on a bit of a wind up this week on Twitter, I think. But
What's the England score, by the way? Sorry, I've looked it up here.
5-0 full time.
It's still 5-0. Okay.
Well, yeah, 5-0 full time.
It's finished, Bren.
Was it finished? Okay.
Yeah.
It has. The two Brians are in the house. Hello, Brian Ireland. Pleasure to have you on the show, sir. And of course, Brian Daigle. We'll have you both back very soon. Right, next player. I'm giving this one to you, Kerry. You seem really nice, so maybe you'll be empathetic towards this person.
If we got
Joe Roden. Would you keep him or sell him?
I don't know what's going on with Joe Roden because I know Paul Muir really, really likes him, doesn't he? He's like
He never
Joe
mentions it. What are you
Roden
talking about?
all
He
the
never
time.
mentions
Yeah,
that,
that's what I
no.
mean. And like, obviously, I'm Welsh, so yeah, he's good for Wales.
So biased, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, I'm biased. Nice tats all over. Yeah, that's fine. But I don't know because we haven't really seen him play for Spurs much yet, have we? I mean, what I've seen of him, he's been good. So I don't know what he's doing wrong not to get in there.
There
So
he
maybe
is.
Conte will. Yeah, there you go, Paul.
You dangle the fish and he's there like a shark.
I think he should definitely be given a chance. But we've got Romero, so he's higher, obviously, than Rodon because Romero's brilliant. Dyer, Dyer is a bit like Winks, surely. Are we having a second revival for Dyer? Do you reckon?
Well, he's not on my run sheet, but we can talk about him as well. We've got plenty of time. I think for me, this is summed up here. I agree with this. If we're not going to play him, we should sell him. We need a quality left-sided centre-back. Bren, come to you on this one next.
Who are we talking about? Sorry, Roden again? Or...
Yeah, Roden.
Yeah, it is a weird one. He's not done much wrong, but none of the managers seem to have trusted him so far. I think HG mentioned as well, he's 25.
24.
So,
Is he?
24, sorry, 24.
That.
It's weird. Maybe, again, a loan, because he's clearly a great player. It just hasn't worked with any of the managers so far. So, at international level, he delivers. At championship level, he delivered. He was the best centre back in the championship when he was there for Swansea. So, yeah, it's a bizarre one, but clearly there's something happening in training. He's
It's gone again.
It's gone again.
It's gone again.
Looking lip read.
I haven't muted you, Bren. I can hear you now.
all right. Sorry. Okay, go to someone else. But yeah, I think a loan. But I'd still hold on to him, but a loan for Roden.
John, Roden.
Again, we haven't seen enough of him, have we? So it's really down to the next few weeks. Does Conte look at him and go yes or no? And can we get a good fee? I think there was talk of Brighton wanting him. They're going to need another centre back because Duffy's getting on a bit. So we could get a good fee for him. I think he'll have a good career in the Premier League. Whether it's at the top level, top four that we want to be, is hard to tell at the moment because we just haven't seen enough of him. But I think either him or Sanchez needs to go to clear up space for a really top-class centre-back to come in.
There you go. 50 likes are up, Bren. Smash a shot. There you go.
I said 100, but yeah, fair enough.
You did not lead any person for that. No persuasion needed. HG, I've come to you last on purpose. Joe Roden, sir. What would you do?
Look, I agree that he's not had a chance at Spurs. He really hasn't. I'm not upset about that, but he hasn't had a chance at Spurs. I think I was just looking at the statistics. He's played, I think, if he plays both games for Wales this week, he'll have played 16 games for Wales since he joined Spurs and 19 games for Spurs. Wow. That's pretty... I don't know if a stat or a bad stat, but it's pretty telling. Roden hasn't had a chance. That's true. But I've said on plenty shows, we need to look at those centre-backs, decide which ones are probably worth the most and get rid. And if that's Roden or Sanchez, I think they're pretty similar to me. So if you want to keep Roden because he's homegrown, that would be a reason to do it. But I don't know if he's ever going to be a first choice player at Spurs. And if I'm Rodon, I want games. And if Conte's not going to do it, or if we're looking for a left-sided centre-back, then Rodon may never become that person at Spurs, and he'll want to move on, even if we don't want to sell him. So perhaps Bren's suggestion of a loan is a good thing for everyone, where he gets a chance to play regularly, and maybe we get a fixed fee at the end of it. I don't know.
This is a Shan, bless her. He's tall and fast, but not very good. HG. I'm not sure what the numbers mean, or she might just be drunk.
No, she's saying, because I say that all the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought she was blowing you a kiss and making reference to something. That was a reference number. But is that what you say?
I have said that in the past. Like, he's got all the physical attributes to be a good defender, but I think here is where he's lacking, personally. So it's a rough one, because he's only going to get that way if he plays more games. He's only played maybe 120 senior games of football. He for a 24-year-old who's in the Premier League, that's not that many. Bearing in mind he got a big move to a Premier League club, so there's a lot of unknowns about Rodon. Like, it is possible that he could become a world beater, but I just think in his head, I'm not sure if he really believes it. Like, we've seen Romero come in for Spurs, and when he's on the ball, it's like, this is my pitch. Like, I have the ball, get away from it. Like, if someone comes near him, he pushes them aside. Yeah. And I feel like Rodon, like, he has the size, but I'm not sure he has the attitude for it. And so it's tough. But I think for Rodon and for the club, if we don't play him, then he has to find a way out for his own sanity.
145 people watching as it's his birthday. We've not blocked his face. Please do click the subscribe button. That's a shame, isn't it?
Every time I get it wrong.
There it is. Please do subscribe to the show. And please do absolutely smash a like. We're only at 55 with 145 people watching, so the maths clearly does not add up. Right.
Hang on a second. I think I have a feeling that Gaza Genius might be having a go at me. I don't know. Maybe he really did play for a men's Premier League team at 15, but I don't know. Look, it's not that Rodon isn't intelligent. He may be a very intelligent person, but it's different, right? So some of the best football players, can barely read and write. I just feel that, like, on the pitch, there is a composure involved. There is an understanding that, like, this is mine, and I don't feel that Rodon has it.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you.
What do you think of Sanchez?
Sorry, Kerry, missed that.
HG,
for me,
what do you think of Sanchez? Yes.
I think he and Rodon are basically interchangeable. They're the same player. They're big, they're fast, they'll do anything to block a ball. They're not great, in any other way. I mean, there's a lot to be said for players like that, but I want better than that. I like composure in players. I like people who, just they to me, the difference between
in fairness,
very good players. Mm-hmm.
In fairness, you liked Eric Dyer for a very long time, and he's neither of those things, really.
As a defensive midfielder, absolutely. I liked him.
Every manager that we've had seems to have put him in, don't they, straight away?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Dyer as a centre-half confuses me, because we've seen it so many times. He doesn't like players running off the back of him. He's terrible at it. He doesn't want to run backwards, which is probably why he doesn't like being defensive midfielder, because if they do run off him, then suddenly there's a problem. But yeah, Dyer as a person, I think he's maybe got the mental side. He's not bad at that, but the actual kind of skill side is where Dyer is possibly lacking for me. I think that we need to find a left-sided centre back, a left footer, to someone to partner Romero, and then, because if you have those two, then the third,
and someone who's better than Ben Davies.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously Ben Davies seems to by Conte, if only for the fact that I don't know, but I just think that our central defensive options, for a long time we had, Vertonghen and Alderweireld, who were the best partnership in the country as far as I'm concerned. Right now we have a lot of 6s and 7s, but no 9s. Romero probably will be one of those, but we need to have a couple more. That's what I'd be looking to do.
Okay, we'll move on. So just on Rodon, a quick round the room. Bren, would you keep or sell? Loan, you said.
Loan, but keep, yeah.
Okay, John?
I would loan unless we get a ridiculous bid for him, and then sell.
HG?
I agree with Will.
Yeah, I like that one.
Thought you might.
Shout out, Gov. So you'd keep him. You'd tell him, yeah, HG.
With Roden, like I agree more with John. Like if Brighton came in for him, I'd sell him because I think they'll pay a decent amount. Loan. Brighton may want the loan first, but it would be a loan, not necessarily with an option to buy. I think it would just be to money later on down the line. But I don't know. I think which one we keep, lose both, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
And Kerry, would you sell or keep?
I think loan and keep because we just haven't seen enough of him to know really.
Okay. Right. Who have I not been to? HG. Is it HG? What? Or Brendan and HG brothers?
Brendan, HG, Caller. I don't know how it is. Maybe we should put all three of us at the top again, so it's like the Brady Bunch.
He's just got one of those faces.
We're all just really good looking, James. That's what it is.
That is absolutely what it is. Well, who have I not been to? HG.
I think it was me. Yeah. Sorry. Quick.
Yeah. That's all right. I've got a good one for you. Ndombele.
Keep.
And then we're going to talk about players to sign. Ndombele. Brendan.
Keep. Yeah, I'll keep him as well. Yeah.
Who keeps? John.
Keep.
Kerry.
Keep. I've seen him smiling today, so that's a good sign, surely. Because I saw the handshake with Conte, and it was like, oh heck, what am I getting myself in for? And the bloke behind that was going, ha ha ha, you've got no idea what you're getting yourself in for. But fingers crossed, I think Conte can work wonders with him.
I saw in the chat earlier. I can't remember. I think it was Paul Muir, channel member. Well done. Grab yours now. It's in the pinned message. And while you're at it, like, subscribe. I think we're at well over 50 now. 161 people watching live. I think where we're at with Tongi is he's the fittest he's ever been in his career. Was I think what Paul put up, and the sports scientists are saying that at Spurs. So the fittest he's been. A renaissance, hopefully this summer. I suppose if a better question would probably be, there it is, a quote from Ali Gol, Paul's favourite journalist. Sports science staff believe Tongi Ndombele is in the best condition of his Spurs career in recent weeks, which that's good. Maybe that means he can make it through 90 minutes. But Chan raises a good point. Will he deal with not having condiments with his salad? Who knows?
He puts ketchup on his salad?
Else been reading those with a little bit of glee.
I think the thing is with Tongi Ndombele, a better question would be if he doesn't deliver before the end of the season, do we sell him in the summer? Because I don't think he's going to go anywhere in January, if I'm really honest. Bren?
How long has he got left in his contract?
I think it's another 3 years. Another 3 years after this.
3 years.
Right.
3 years at 200 grand a week, Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, again, the question is, who's the buyer? Like, who's going to come in for him to pay us what we expect? If we get our money back, would we take it? If he's not delivered for the rest of this season, because there's still 3/4 of the season left, then maybe look at shifting him on. But you'd like to think with Conte coming in like a proper world-class manager who really likes him, that he'll respond to that, he'll react to that. If he's shit for the rest of the season, obviously then try and find a buyer, try and get the money back, get him off the wages. But I think he'll have a good season. I think he's got the right manager with Conte, as have a lot of players.
HG?
I agree a lot with what Ben said. He's going to play for Conte. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He'll get his moments. If it doesn't work in the next 6-7 months, I think Conte will happily sell him. I saw a message from Paul in the comments about how much loss we would take. What do we pay? 60 million for him? If with 3 years left, I suspect if we do want shot of him next summer, it will be one of those kind of Vincent Janssen will loan him quite a lot in the hope that it's a loan fee and maybe pays a lot of his wages. But if we sold him, I think we'd be lucky to get £35 million for him back. I mean, I do, and it's just because I think that the teams that might want to buy him are the teams that won't have the money. A lot of the money is still within the Premier League, and I don't think he's going to want to go there. And I'm not sure many Premier League teams would want him. So you're looking at, if there's a team maybe that sells a striker for a lot of money and has a bit of money and they want to burn it, then that might be. But I think Ndombele's got a future at the club, and it'll be down to Conte to get it out of him.
John, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think spot on. I think just trying to get rid of him is going to be very difficult to get any money, because the clubs in Europe still aren't going to have that much money next summer. It's going to take 2 or 3 years for them to build back up again. And I think it would, hopefully, Conte's going to turn it around, and he's going to be a really key player for us, especially if we do go to the 5-3-2 that we were talking about the other day rather than the 3-4-3. But I think it's going to be very difficult to sell him, so it'd have to be a loan. Probably just try and get those 200k a week wages covered.
If there is a team in the UK that wants him, it's going to be Newcastle, because they will pay those wages. They can pay those wages, but will you want to go up there?
Hang on, what's the local delicacy in Newcastle? Is it deep fried Mars bars?
He'll be there.
That's Scotland.
He'll be there.
He'll be there.
It's near enough. Kerry?
He's been linked so often with wanting to leave, and he's not happy and moaning and grumbling. But we've seen there's such a player in there. I mean, there's so many flicks and tricks, and he does make a difference whenever he's introduced.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping again that Conte can work his magic.
Well,
I'm optimistic.
I think we're all hoping that. Yeah, I'm glad you're optimistic. Right, let's talk rumours. I know you touched on some on the show this week, Brendan. So for you, this will be easy to discuss. Let's start with the one that just keeps coming around, and we were linked heavily with all summer, Vlahovic. John, this one for you. Has he got legs?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely talks going on with the players' agents at the very least, even if it's not Fiorentina.
HG, what kind of fee would it take to bring him in January? And do you think that's likely?
Well, I mean, the rumour is Fiorentina want 70 or 80 million euros to sign him in January. I mean, Fiorentina are in that position where he's got 18 months left on his deal. The longer they leave it, the lower the longer Vlahovic leaves it, the more choice of clubs he'll probably have. So unless the club that comes in and pays the fee is somewhere that Vlahovic wants to go, I don't think anything will happen in January. I think next summer is much more likely, because I don't think Vlahovic, he doesn't strike me as being one of those players that will try and walk out on a free. I think he's looking at his next club, and he'll wait for next summer to do it. But with Conte in charge, there is definitely a possibility that he might pick Spurs. And I think 2 weeks ago, I couldn't have said that about Spurs. Nuno wouldn't have had the clout. So it's definitely possible. He's going to know that there's most likely a striker position available if Kane goes. He's young. It ticks every box, but I don't think it's going to happen in January.
Bren, do you agree with that? Is that your dog barking in the background, Bren? I can hear a dog
I don't
yapping.
have a dog. It's not mine.
Definitely not you.
Definitely not me.
Brent, what do you think the likelihood is of Vlahovic coming in January? Or
January is unlikely. I'd say if it was going to happen, it would be more likely in the summer. Very few sort of big deals happen in January. So, but it looks like HG said, the attraction of Conte, and we can't underestimate that. The fact that we have Conte, it's not just the attraction of the club; it's the attraction of the manager now. And certainly in Italy, where he has such a strong reputation, players will want to come and play for him. So he's delivered. I don't know a huge amount about him. I know that Arsenal are in for him as well. But again, if you had to choose between playing for Arteta with his Fisher-Price haircut or playing for Conte with his Turkish hair implants, which would you go for? I go for Conte every time. So yeah, it looks solid, and it all depends on Kane though. He's not going to come if Kane's still there. He'll want to be the main man.
Kerry, do you know much about this one?
I'm depressed now. I've heard Brendan just say that about if Kane stays and Vlahovic won't come, because How nice is it that we're just linked with all these players and their actual proper possibilities now? Because we've got Conte, it's such a pull to the club, isn't it? Because we've got all the club and the infrastructure and everything. We've got the decent manager, so people will want to come. It just really is exciting times. But now that Brendan's just said that, I'm like,
Oh,
I
sorry,
don't know
Gary.
now.
There you go. Juve is the
I
preferred
think it's
move.
nice that we're linked with him. That's good, and I think he should come. But the thing is, Kane is not good in a two up front, is he? Kane is the one.
Well,
So
we don't know. Maybe he will play. The two up front. There you go. Yes, he will. Absolutely.
oh, do you think?
Where's Son going to go then? We're going to kick Son out.
Why not?
But
He's
we're not
just
building a
trying
team of 11. We want to build a squad, right?
Absolutely.
Rotate them so they actually have a rest.
Yeah.
And it's competition for Kane, which he does need competition, doesn't he?
I think that's and this is an interesting point that Shan, brings up. Vlahovic would back himself to compete with Kane. I think you need a bit of another big ego in there. Absolutely.
Let's say that Vlahovic does come in next summer, plays 1 year with Kane, where he gets to know the league a little bit, gets to know what's possible, and then Kane leaves because Kane, unless we start winning things, Kane is probably still going to want to go somewhere else. So it might be possible for the two of them to have one season in the same squad and then go on further. I don't know, but I find it really difficult now that Kane has made it clear that he wouldn't mind leaving at some point. That strikers around Europe are going to be thinking, okay, there is a spot now at Spurs, so possibly.
And Kane has started talking now, hasn't he, about what's gone on in the summer with Man City and everything. He has
I think he's handled it really well. Did everyone? Yeah, that raised possibly the biggest smile ever. I think I've handled it really well, really well.
Poor him, poor Kane. Oh, get the violins out. Oh, it was such a big stress for me. Fuck off! He dealt with it so poorly. Like, if you want to leave, you again use the horrible phrase. You front it. You own it. Say, right, I've given all I can for this club. It's time to go. He didn't. He did this stupid interview with Gary Neville, which was ridiculous. And anyway, I think that he handled it incredibly poorly, and what he said recently it's just making it worse for himself.
Yeah,
I saw that Charlie Kane started trending again because people were doing Charlie Kane jokes again today.
Is it a surprise whenever Kane opens his mouth that immediately the Charlie Kane jokes start to flow, don't they?
I think it's funny when people say, I think Harry Kane's been very badly advised. Well, yes, by his own brother, the advisor that he picked. So they're both as dumb as each other, frankly. It's crazy to me that everyone's quite to throw Charlie under the bus without recognizing that his own flesh and blood may well be of a similar standard of intelligence, as great a footballer as he is.
Yeah. No, I would agree with all of that. Let's move on. Let's talk Kessie. So this is another player that's been very strongly linked with claims in the media that a deal has already been done. What do we make of that, Brendan? Let's go to you first. Kessie, someone that you admire, someone that you want, or someone you've never heard of?
I'll be honest, someone I know very little about, so I'll pass it over to HG over here.
Kessie, he was at Atalanta, kind of came through there, and then they loaned and then sold him to AC Milan. So he's been at AC Milan for, I think this is his fourth season. As we all know, the contract is up in the summer. May well want to move on. He's one of those, a midfielder who can do a bit of everything. He's quite happy being defensive, but can get forward and score a lot of goals. I think last season in the Italian league, he got into double figures. That's the type of player certainly the type of midfielder that Antonio Contes likes. And if it's a free transfer, that we're only paying the wages, yes, it'll be a lot of wages, but again, it's still far cheaper to do it that way than paying 50, 60 million for the privilege. So it's definitely got legs. I will say that. Antonio Conte will know all there is to know about Kessie. He'll have managed against him for the last two seasons. he watches Italian football still. I would assume and I think that Spurs as a club have been after him for a while. We've kind of seen that he's someone that we might be looking for. So it might be a perfect storm of, A plus B actually equals C for once. But
and so cheap, free. In fact,
I mean, 200 grand a week or whatever it was supposed to be. 200 grand a week is obviously a lot of money, but if you're taking out the fee, then it's really not that much at all. And if he bombs after 2 seasons, and you've given him 20 million in wages over those 2 seasons, and then you sell him for 20 million, it really is I hate to say this, but from a business point of view, it's the type of move that clubs make.
There you go. It's a total levy deal. Not long on his contract, wants to move. It's Danny's dream. Absolutely. And
he's only 24. Yeah, he's 24. I think he turns 25 just before Christmas. So he'll be 25 next year. Same age that Højbjerg was when he joined on it wasn't a free, but it was, very little. Those are the type of players that you want. They're established top 5 league players, and you're getting them for a relative pittance. If they're good, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's hope that one has got legs then, shall we? Right, another one. This is a classic. So we've been linked with this guy for over 18 months. Skriniar. John, what are your thoughts on him?
Him as a player, I think he'd be a good signing for us. Obviously, Conte knows him very well, so it would make sense. I guess it comes down to Inter's financial situation. I read earlier that they've got over 230 million debt or something like that. So again, it's when their accounts come out. What is the situation? Do they need to sell still, or did selling Lukaku was that enough to get them sort of out of the hole?
I
read today that the Newcastle owners wanted to buy Inter, so that's an interesting.
Yeah, their owners are Chinese, and I think that the Chinese company that owns them is in real estate or something in China, and that they've had huge financial problems, and that's why Conte left. Was that they were like, well, we have to sell, as you said with Lukaku and other players, and Conte was like, well done. But then can we go back like vultures and pick off their best players? Yes.
Before Newcastle's owners jump in there and buy them.
So if Newcastle owners buy them, they can't be in the same competition, can they? Or is this going to be they're going to make another company with different?
Well, who knows?
Different directors and
who knows? They operate in mysterious ways, John. I think.
Yeah. Like I know that Red Bull Leipzig and Red Bull Salzburg have played each other in the Champions League, and they somehow got around that. So it's I don't know.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. Skriniar, someone, Kerry, that you'd like to see in Spurs' back line? It is a back line that needs strengthening.
No idea, because I've not really watched any YouTube highlight reels and all that, because I used to do that a while back, and then we got linked with so many players and we never ever got any of them, so I gave up doing that. But he has been linked with us for quite a while. So
I thought you were going to say you watched
crossed.
A few like Vincent Janssen, and you saw the wrong Fernandez and thought, oh, they're going to be exciting, and therefore you didn't bother anymore. But yeah.
No, HG, so I've given up. I trust in Paratici though, or Paratici.
HG, which side does Skriniar play on?
I'll put this comment up because it's perfect. Yeah, Skriniar plays. He's the right-sided centre back in a 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, like if you want to move Romero into the middle of the 3 that he did at Atalanta, then in theory you could be looking for a right-sided and a left-sided one to go either side of him. The guy Bastoni that he mentions, I think Bastoni is 21 or 22, but he's not out of contract soon, so he would cost a bit of money. But I think he's also at Inter. So if they are having financial issues, then if you're going to pick one, maybe you'd go for the left-footed guy. I don't know, but I could see a lot of changes at the back. I think that we do. I mean, I've said this before. We have the chance to stick with what we've got or twist, and that goes for a lot of our players, really, not just the defenders. And I would be okay with twisting. I think that if we're going to play on the front foot, you need players who are better on the ball. I don't think Dyer's great. I don't think Sanchez is great on the ball. Rodon, to be fair to him, has a decent passing range, but I think that Conte will be looking to. I mean, Conte may look for experienced players as well. Like De Vrij is a definite option, but I just think that he'll be looking to revamp our centre backs, and so we may sign 2 for decent money in the summer, maybe even 1 in January, because I think there's a guy at AC Milan called Romagnoli who's also left-footed, and I think that he is out of contract next summer. So it's one of those. If you offer a bit of money now, maybe it will happen. But I think there's a number of left-footed centre backs that could come in. I've seen Sven Botman in the comments.
He was heavily linked transfer window, wasn't he?
Exactly. Like, he's a young Dutch guy. It's his second season at Lille. Lille are in the Champions League right now, but I don't think they're doing so well in France anymore. Their manager left for Moneybags Nice in the summer. So there might be a couple of players at Lille who'll be thinking, okay, now's the time to make the next step. I personally, I've not really seen Botman play, but he is highly rated by many. So that could be an option too.
Is his chant, dinner, Botman?
Well, it should be, shouldn't it?
Should be.
Absolutely
It will be.
Yeah, absolutely should be. Yeah, so many.
Can we sign him just for that?
Yeah, why not, man? Why not? Yeah, I see. Mr. Diver wants Bastoni. Would we take him, HG?
Yeah,
Give us the lowdown on Bastoni, would you? For those who don't know.
As I said, like I think he's 21 or 22, Italian defender, left-footed. Probably the closest thing they have to the next Giorgio Chiellini. It would be quite a coup if we got him. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, we'll see. But it looks like we're going to have a fair bit of money to play with, and yeah,
not 400 million. Let's just be really clear.
Probably not that much, no. But we'll have money to go out and get players that we want, and I think that the issue is, will they want Spurs? And that's always been the case, really. But with Conte in charge, I do think it's more possible now.
Koundé, he never went anywhere in the end, did he?
No, that's just it. And I mean, Koundé will probably stick to his Champions League line, but who knows which teams will be in the Champions League next summer? I mean, there are lots of things. It's weird. Like, obviously, we want to improve the squad in January, and so if someone is willing to make that move in January, then we'll take them. We're not going to wait for someone to decide that we're suddenly good enough for them. But it'll be interesting, because I do think, as I said, we've got 4 spots that we can fill easily in the squad with foreigners. And where do you go? Do you get a striker? Do you get a couple, a creative? I mean, you could get the striker, the creative midfielder, and 2 centre halves in January, feasibly, even if they were only on loan, just to get them in, and then see what happens in the summer. If they adapt very quickly, then you keep them. And we did it with Galini last year. We found a goalkeeper, although he played Champions League football at Atalanta. Atalanta had bought someone in to replace him. That is true. But if there's a deal to be done that could help the squad, I think Paratici will find it.
Absolutely.
Someone left the Hoover on. I can hear.
Might be the fan on my laptop, possibly.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Are clubs going to increase their prices for us in January, though, because they know that Conte's here and he wants us to spend big?
I would. If I was in charge of a club, I would do that. I think a lot of it depends on contract expiry. Like, if they're out of contract in the summer, then we've got loads of leverage. If it's 18 months, we've got a bit of leverage. Anything other than that, they'd ask for full price, just like we would with Kane or with anyone that we wanted to keep. So yeah, it's definitely possible, but
I'm going to throw this.
Got to back the manager, right? We've got to back the manager.
Got to back the manager. I've not heard that in at least 5 minutes. I'm going to throw this one. This is literally a grenade into the mix. Gareth frickin' Bale has been rumoured and linked again to come back in January. Pass that one round the room, if you will. HG, we'll start with you as to all the reasons why we shouldn't, probably.
Why we shouldn't?
We should.
We don't. We yeah.
Should.
Like, again, he'll have 6 months left on his Real Madrid deal, right? And he's probably not going to play at Real. So it's a similar question to what we had, a year ago when he joined Spurs. Is he keeping himself fit for a World Cup? Maybe. Can he come in and do a job? Absolutely. Does he fit into a Conte system? That's a good question. Maybe he doesn't. But you can't deny that Gareth Bale is a extremely good footballer. Like I saw it mentioned, I think yesterday, that if he was English, people would realise just how good he is. But because he's Welsh, he doesn't really get the credit that he deserves. I think that's probably true. I certainly think that when Gareth Bale was sold to Real Madrid, he was behind Messi and Ronaldo. They were the big three in world football. Obviously, the last few years have been disappointing for him, but those loan deals that come and strengthen the squad, yeah, why not? Why not?
And he's not playing at Madrid now, Brendan. He's not playing much at all. No, he's only done 150 minutes this season. So again, if he's not playing and his contract expires in 6 months, could a deal be done? Would you want a deal to be done?
The romantic in me definitely wants it, and the pragmatist in me has questions though, because when he was here last season, the goals he scored were in the Europa, were against lower league teams. Brighton, was it Sheffield United? They weren't. He wasn't banging him in against Arsenal. He didn't turn up against Arsenal. So there's question marks there, but yeah, very good point. There's question marks there, but yeah, I'd love to see him back, and with crowds in the stadium as well, which there weren't last season. It would be amazing, and maybe that will help him lift his game. So if we can make it happen, like you said, 6 months left on his deal, if we can get him for free or on the cheap, and I don't think he'll be expecting the same wages that he's on now, then yeah, I'd bring him in. But again, is he a Conte manager? His two up top for Inter were Lukaku and Laurent. Fucking hell, what was his name again? the Argentine guy.
I know what you mean.
I'll ruin a bit. He plays two up.
The Argentine guy who was rubbish for Spurs, Lamela is his name.
Oh,
So, fuck's sake, I forgot his name. It's yeah, I'd take him back, but it would have to be the right deal, and yeah, it'd be great for him for crowds to see what he can do.
Kerry, I think I know what you're going to say about Lamela, so say it.
Lamela or Bale?
Lautaro Martinez.
Talking about Paula.
Sorry.
Oh, it would be so nice for Bale to come back, wouldn't it? Because it just went so pear-shaped, because he was like, imagine Bale and Son and Kane in a stadium that is packed. I mean, that would just be amazing, wouldn't it? Because his goal tally as well wasn't that bad last season, even though he didn't actually play that many.
It was a good return, in fairness.
Yeah, 11 goals in 19 games or something, was it? I mean, that's I don't understand why he wasn't played more. I know there's the whole thing about, he's getting fitness ready for playing Wales or whatever, but I don't know. I think we should give it another go with a proper packed stadium, and he's the only player that I've ever got on the back of my shirt, and he's on the back of this shirt.
Yeah, I've got him on the back of my shirt of that season as well. It never really got used much.
No, mine's been hung on the front door, but it's on today.
If you said to me we could loan someone for 6 months of the season and he'd score, as Kerry said, he got 11 goals in 19 or 20 Premier League appearances. If he was to do 5 in 10, you'd take it. You'd take it tomorrow. Absolutely, you would.
And that's without a full stadium. So imagine with a full stadium, he would be absolutely on fire with Kane and Son and Conte, and throw Dele and throw Winks in the middle.
There were a number of goals that Bale scored last year where he hit the ball so well, you're just like, he's playing a different sport to everyone else. It was confidence. It was top corner. Whether you're going through on goal, just first time hits. You're absolutely right. He didn't show up against Arsenal. He was terrible in that game. But
his ball striking is different level.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And he did only get, really, in terms of crunch matches, I think that Arsenal game is the only one that he was entrusted with, wasn't it? And obviously he didn't perform, and that was almost it. At the end, I did get to see him one last time in a Spurs shirt when I went to the Villa game, and the crowd were baying for him to go on, but it was too late for him to affect the game. You know, so I would love, like you say, the romanticist in me wants to see Gareth Bale with a full Tottenham Hotspur stadium singing "He was born to play for Spurs," wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be fantastic? But yeah, watch that one, because although it's been denied by all and sundry, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him come back and have another crack in a Spurs shirt. It really wouldn't.
I mean, like if Bale, even if it's not in January, if Bale's out of contract next summer, he'll turn 33, I think, in July. Antonio Conte, signed Ashley Young on a year's deal, Alexis Sanchez on loan, or whatever it was. Like, he's not afraid of having experienced players, and they don't play every game, but they come in and they're part of a winning squad. And to me, Bale, like, I wouldn't want him to come in and play every game. I wouldn't expect that from him. But if he was to start 15 to 20 league games a season. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's true. Like, I think Craig also said that he's got a hamstring strain or hamstring tear right now. So clearly, he's on his way to the knacker's yard. So it's a decision that you have to make. But quality-wise, no one will ever knock the quality that Bale has. If you can keep him fit, he will score you goals.
Good stuff. Right, how's about this one then? Paulo Dybala. Image rights won't be an issue in another. When's he out of contract age, Jim? Am I right in saying he's got 18 months left?
No, Dybala's next summer.
Yeah, next summer.
It is next summer, so 6 months left on his deal, give or take. So, I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, he's a world-class talent. I remember us getting really excited when we thought that one was close, near season ticket renewal a year and a bit ago. John, Dybala, for you, what would that mean?
Yeah, firstly, is the sound better?
Yes.
Very good.
Cool. He'd be a great player for us, wouldn't he? Proper Tottenham player of old. I haven't followed him this season. I know that he had a very good season the season after we almost bought him. But yeah, would love him at the Lane. Also depends who else we're going to get. I mean, you wouldn't have Dybala and Bale, would you?
Well, if you're going to pick one or the other, you're going to pick Dybala, aren't you? Let's be honest. How old?
I probably would, yeah, because he'll play more games.
Dybala is 28 next week, I think.
Okay, yeah. So
he's 4 years younger,
and at his peak, he's at his absolute peak.
Yeah.
So you'd have to take him, wouldn't you? HG Dybala, what a player!
Dybala on a free, absolutely.
Well, someone's gonna snap him up, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't want to be at Juventus anymore, and he's been there a long time, so he may well, and it's probably his last big move, his last big contract. So where does he want to, finish his prime? That's where I worry that, Spurs as a club probably doesn't attract him, but Conte might. So, if I'm Dybala and I think, well, I don't know how long Conte's going to stay, but I'll sign a 3-year deal, right? So I kind of give up the long-term security, but after 2 years I could maybe leave, and at 30 I might still get a 4-year deal out of someone else at a different club. So it's possible, right? It is possible. Juventus, they probably want to keep him, but again, if I'm Dybala, I'll wait to see what my options are. Absolutely.
Would Dybala not make more sense for someone like City?
I think Dybala would make sense for a lot of teams.
Anyone.
I mean,
it makes sense for anyone.
Yeah.
Top.
He could fit in that City team, couldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dybala, if we were to play a front two, I think would work very well, because he is that kind of player who floats. Like you wouldn't see him at Liverpool because he's not a winger, and I don't think he could do the Firmino role. Man City, okay, they don't really play with a striker, so he could be part of that, absolutely. But I think they might, if they're looking at Kane, they probably are going to look for a central striker, which Dybala isn't. So yeah, what options would he have? Like Chelsea, they probably don't need him. They might want him. If you said to a Chelsea fan, we'll get rid of Werner and we'll sign Dybala, then of course they'll probably want to do that. But Man United, I don't think are anyone's choice right now unless something major happens there. So it might be the perfect storm. The perfect system, the perfect manager. That means Tottenham become his choice, and he'll know that he came close to signing for Spurs a couple of years ago. So he'll know a lot about the club. But I almost don't want to dream. Like, I know it's possible, I know it could happen, but deep down I'm expecting that he'll go to Bayern Munich or someone else.
There's an interesting comment. The Premier League would be interesting for him. He's not consistent. To be honest, he's been underperforming for years at Juve. Fair?
I mean, I don't watch too much of Juve. I mean, like obviously we all remember seeing him score at Wembley against Spurs in that awful Champions League game. He's not been like a guaranteed starter for them. But there are other players at Juve like Kulusevski, who's a really good player, and he's not playing much at Juve either. And with Ronaldo gone, yeah, like who is striking? Who is their striker if it's not Dybala? That'd be interesting to know because I don't know enough about it.
Interesting one. Okay. What about? I like this, by the way. Spurs only. Welcome to the chat. You think Kane will get a confidence boost after his hat trick tonight?
Yeah.
We have covered that earlier in the show, but just quickly around the room. Yes. I think the answer is yes. It's fair to say.
Kane is back.
Well, I'm just going to say he's a flat track bully. He does it against shit teams and can't turn up for finals. But, you know, I'm sure there'll be lots of haters on that. But it's true. He does never turn up for a final. It is true. Yeah, I mean, he's closing in on that goal scoring record for England. What other players are there, Brendan, off your list that are available cheap come the summer?
Well, let's bring it close to home. Jesse Lingard, Cantwell. There's a couple that, like Kerry was saying, we do need to have a bit of a creative spark, that the bridge between the base of Skip and Højbjerg and the front players. So there's possibilities there. Their contracts expire in 2022. In Italy, we've got also defender-wise, Tarkowski. His contract expires next year. Premier League experience. It wouldn't be an expensive deal. It could be a free in the summer. Will be taken.
I think one of the big clubs will sign Tarkowski in the summer. Like unless it's Newcastle who throw a crap ton of money at him, I think one of the big teams will take him as a reliable, homegrown central defensive option. It makes too much sense not to.
Big team like us.
Say again.
Big team like us, HG.
Yeah, well, when I say big team, I mean top six. I don't include Leicester in that. I don't include Everton or West Ham in that. I think a top six team could take Tarkowski. I mean, it's very similar to the deal that, I say this, Leicester did it when they signed Johnny Evans, right? Johnny Evans was a Champions League winner, super experienced in the Premier League, and they got him for $3 million because he'd just been relegated. That's the type of signing that good teams make. And Tarkowski, he's never looked a world beater, but at Burnley, defending is his thing. He may not have to do that much at a Big 16, but I think for him, it's a chance to play European football again. It's a chance to be involved at that level, which he may not have been before. So I think Tarkowski is looking for maybe a squad role at a big team for a couple of years.
Sorry, Bren, your list was
and Italy. So there's Insigne. Brozovic, as I mentioned earlier, Brozovic is an interesting one because he played under Conte, and he's one of those players that Conte sort of shifted him from his preferred position, what he felt was his position, and moved into a different position and made him a world beater, or certainly an Italy beater. Dennis Zakaria, I don't know too much about him, HG. Do you know much about him?
Yeah, he's a central midfielder, plays at Mönchengladbach, I think, right now. He's very much a box-to-box midfielder. I don't think he scores as many goals as he probably should, but he's going to be. It would be him or Kessie or someone like that, kind of box-to-box. And with Højbjerg already at the club, maybe being in that role already, I don't know if we'd sign too many of them. But Zakaria is an option, but I think that we'd probably have Kessie higher up on our list.
Yeah. One thing actually, the Border striker Eric Botheim. He's been obviously raising eyebrows after what he did to Roma, and apparently Roma are in for him. Jose likes him. Could he do something in the Premier League?
I've never seen Botheim play. I've seen his name thrown around, but I don't know too much about him. I see now that he's only 21, so he's young. It would be, I think if Spurs are going to be the club that signs these young players, they're probably going to have to go out on loan afterwards. And I think that players like Botheim, there was a similar story for a Norwegian player last year. I think his name is Hauger. He played really well in a Europa League game against Milan, and they signed him. and then a year later he's now been bought by someone else. So it's Boateng, if he's smart, will probably pick a club a bit not lower down the food chain than Spurs, but he'll need to play, and he probably won't play that often for Spurs unless we buy him and loan him somewhere else.
Cool. I'm done, Hayes. I'm done.
What's going to happen with Pepe Sarr then? Is he going to get played, or is he just going to go out on loan? Because he's quite young, isn't he? Is he?
Good question. He's box to box as well, isn't he? He's probably what we're missing, if I'm being really honest. I mean, HG, I know you speak passionate about wanting him back for January. John, what's your view on him?
On Sarr, I think we'll see quite a bit of him next season when he comes in. I don't think we'll be able to get him in January. I know a few people on here have said, we need to try and get him. I think Mets are going to say no. The deal was we have him back on the loan for a year. But I think he'll get a fair bit of game time next season. You're right. He is a player we're missing. Obviously, we sold our box-to-box midfielder to Watford, didn't we? Istanbul.
He's captain there now, would you believe?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just can't quite believe it.
The craziest.
He was a leader, wasn't he?
He's the craziest choice of captain since Pochettino chose Kabul.
Yes.
Oh,
I forgot that was in the Pochettino's era, actually. Yeah, that was true.
Yeah, we made him
That
captain,
was a
and then he
strange
was.
decision, that wasn't it? Yeah.
Well,
Was
he
it
had a
It's
bit of
like
an
out of the
attitude.
blue, wasn't it?
He had a bit of an attitude, didn't he, Kabul?
Did you see the penalty Danny Rose gave away last week?
Yeah,
No.
he clouted him. It was
Did he?
brilliant. We all want to do that to
Terrible.
Lacazette, don't we? Like, just whack him. Brilliant.
That's an interesting point. There you go. Papasar's not even starting for Mets, according to Hotspur Sam.
Yeah, I
Is
heard
that-
he's not having that good a time at the minute, is he?
Don't know.
I mean, I think
the
Mets
report-
they're at the lower end of the French table,
They are.
and so I think they've probably gone for a bit more experience to try and get some points in midfield. It'll be interesting. I say that a lot, but this is a guy that was signed by Paratici, so he obviously wants him. But whether he'll play a full year at Spurs next year, I don't think so. I think that we may well probably loan him to a British club and see what happens there.
There you
I
go.
guess
Who else we
One
signed?
man's rubbish is another man's Sissoko.
Have you guys seen Sarr's YouTube clip? What stood out for me was the fact that he could hit a free kick. I don't know if they showed the same free kick about 5-6 times, but there was a good 5 or 6 free kicks in. I'm like, thank God we got one.
Anything that gets Kane off free kicks, I'm all over.
We will knock that out of him in no time. Don't worry. He'll be hitting the ball every time.
Can I ask, is Conte going to sort out our set pieces, like corners and stuff? Because we've been rubbish at those for donkey's years.
I'd be
now. And
amazed.
surely that should be something that we practice quite a lot, and that should be quite easy to do.
His attention detail is so great. You'd imagine that he'd be all over that, wouldn't he?
What do you think he
I hope
made
so.
of the Celso's 3-bounce corner then? It's possibly the worst corner I've seen outside of the Sunday League. Just unbelievable that a professional footballer can miss hit so badly, really. But yeah,
I do love Conte's faces that he's been pulling already, though. He's like, it's funny.
I'm looking forward to Conte cam. We used to have Jose cam, didn't we?
Yeah.
Brilliant watching.
Conte can. Well, we've got a man in position to capture everything Conte does. So look out for it on the Cheese Room first. Hit the subscribe button. Is there any players I've missed then? Anyone else you want to cover off that we've been linked with?
I've seen Kulusevski, and we haven't really mentioned him. He's another guy at Juventus. I think he's 21. But he's not. He's been there like a season and a bit now, but he's not played too much. He didn't play too much last year. Obviously now Ronaldo's gone, you'd think he'd have more chance. But I see in the comments that Morata has been the main striker, and if you look at Kulusevski online, he's kind of like he can play as a midfielder. He's almost like Havertz, right, where he can do a bit of everything. So he's got a decent goal scoring record when he plays, but he doesn't play too much, and he plays in different positions. That's the type of deal that, again, you'd think Spurs would look at and say, look, he's young, maybe he's undervalued right now, maybe we can get him a bit on the cheap and see what happens. But there might be legs in that. It's just you feel as if every Italian player that's having a bad run of form or is soon to be out of contract is going to be linked with Spurs, and it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do.
One actually, he's at Sampdoria, isn't it? Damsgaard, who had a good Euros, and there's a connection there with Højbjerg. It sounds like he's from Thor, from Lord of the Rings, but
Damsgaard, Thor, yeah.
Thor, yeah. But he's a player that I think you could get him relatively cheap. Is he Sampdoria?
Sampdoria, yeah.
Sampdoria. Yeah. I don't know how key a player he is for them, but I think he's a player that we can get. And again, as Kerry said, that sort of creativity between midfield and the attacking three, I think he'd be a good option.
Is he creative, or does he just whack a free kick like Thor? Because that's pretty much all I saw him. That was his highlight reel from the Euros, unless I'm speaking out of turn. I didn't see him as particularly creative. Just hit a couple of fantastic free kicks, or am I speaking out of turn?
He scored a good goal against Wales, didn't he? That was an open play.
I could probably score against Wales. Let's be honest.
Hang on, Kerry.
Sorry, Kerry.
Wait, so Caller, you're saying that Joe Rodon is so bad that you could score against him?
Yeah.
And Ben Davis.
I'll go with that. I was thinking more Davis, if I'm being really honest. Than I don't think I'd fancy him a chances against Rodon.
Workhorse, isn't he, Davis? He's a good squad player.
That's what everyone says about him, and when everyone says you're a good squad player, what that generally means is you're a bit shit, not quite good enough for the first team. But
that's what you need, their rotation and all that.
Well, is it what you need?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and he's Welsh. Yeah, it is. Come on, HT.
You can't like him just because he's Welsh, Kerry. That's not.
I can.
Surely.
Stick up for the Welsh.
Sampdoria currently in the relegation zone as well on goal difference, but Damsgaard's injured. Hasn't played since the last international.
Anyone who watches knows what Richmond AFC are all about. Yeah.
I just saw him introduced today.
Hey, yo, John.
Go on, AJ. Oh, I watched that episode today where he got introduced.
Ted Lasso. I love it.
Oh,
absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
What? 1 second. There's a comment here. Luka Sucic plays for Red Bull Salzburg. I watched him in the flesh on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
And they played Austria Vienna. Salzburg were rubbish in the first half. He came on at halftime, and he just looks the part. I mean, it's kind of weird. He's maybe 18 or 19, but Sucic is a central midfield player, kind of similar to Soboslai, who went to Leipzig. He's a very, very, very good player. Sucic may well be the next big star to come from Red Bull Salzburg. I don't know where he'll go next, but maybe at the end of this season, Sucic will look to move on because he's, I think, already too good for the Austrian league. He is a very good player.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Salzburg, sorry, cool. I think Salzburg's an interesting one. The fact that more clubs aren't really going there to pick them off because they obviously have a brilliant scouting network, haven't they? And I was really surprised that more clubs went in for Haaland when he went to Dortmund. But yeah, I think surely more and more clubs will be looking at them more closely now.
Salzburg, the South Korean striker who's playing for Leicester this season, I can't remember his name.
For Wolves, yeah.
Sorry, Wolves. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my dad was raving about him the other day. He says he's a fantastic player. He was Salzburg, wasn't he, HG?
He was Salzburg. He went up to Leipzig and didn't really stick there. It's one of those things like the best Salzburg players
had a bad injury apparently.
Okay, yeah, the best Salzburg players. The intention is they go to Leipzig pretty much. Some don't, but most do, because obviously Austrian Bundesliga to German Bundesliga and Champions League is a pretty big step up. And Red Bull Leipzig will then sell them on. So they sold Naby Keita, they've sold other players over the years. But again, like right now, Leipzig, they don't really need to sell players unless the players want to go because they get Champions League football most years. So that they've become an end destination that you stay. And now I get to mention Konrad Laimer because he plays for Red Bull Leipzig, and I love Laimer. But yeah, it's Salzburg. Obviously, like I find it weird that the big teams in England, the big six, that we don't do something similar. That we there are plenty of teams in the Austrian league, right? Since I know a bit about it, that they would probably like the investment. So there were rumours of Spurs going in for trying to purchase or invest in Standard Liège a few weeks ago. Come to Austria. Austria is basically a one-team league, and so if you finish second, you have a chance at Champions League football every season. First is guaranteed it, and second goes into the playoffs. So it could be a really good idea for club flyers to say, right, well, we'll invest in Austria Vienna or whatever, and try to create a similar academy, because the Red Bull system, it works. It clearly works.
Yeah, it does. And you'd love a Premier League team to be buying a team in Austria, so there's competition in the league that you can go and watch locally. So I get your motives there, HG.
If Spurs bought Austria Vienna, that would be the dream. Absolutely.
I've got on the run sheet favourite memories of transfer deadline day. Now, bearing in mind these were written by Dave. So if all of you can think of a fond memory of a transfer deadline day, here's one. Charlie Adam to Spurs. The deal is done, but we couldn't find one of the Blackpool directors to sign the deal. Apparently. I mean, I'd say we've got off lightly there, really. Charlie Adam. Look how far we've come. We're talking about, fantastic players from all over the world, and we were close to signing Charlie Adam not so long ago. Here's another one. The Sergio Aguero last-minute transfer, 37.5 million, who they turned it down. I mean, unsurprisingly, at the last minute. Can you guys think of any?
That's not what happened.
What
happened was his buyout clause was 37 million, but we'd have had to pay it to him because the player has to pay the buyout, it means we'd have had to pay a load of tax on top, and that's what stopped it happening. And probably because he knew City was coming for him as well in the summer.
Yeah, that was probably more to do with it. Has anyone got a favourite transfer deadline day memory? Oh, go on then, John.
Yeah.
You go again, mate. It's your birthday.
Rafa van der Vaart.
Oh,
that was brilliant because it did come out of nowhere. I just remember Sky Sports News saying, big news from Tottenham, and you're waiting for the advert to come over, and they say, Spurs are in talks with Van der Vaart, and there was about 10 minutes left, wasn't there, or something like that? And then it was done deal. That was just brilliant.
Go on, Bren.
The Sky Sports presenter outside. I'm not sure what ground it was, but the dildo in the air. The dildo in the air was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got to say that was amusing. Portsmouth apparently got
so excited over Saido Berahino and what happened to him. He's just disappeared into the ether. But I was constantly on Sky Sports watching that one, and
I know. No, that was bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, that guy went from being touted as massive future prospect to literally League One or wherever he is now. I mean,
I don't know where he is now.
Sheffield Wednesday, I think, is where he is.
Oh, is he?
League Two then?
Yeah.
Is it?
No, I don't know if they're League One. Yeah.
League One.
It's still a pretty big fall from grace, isn't it?
Reminded me, Peter Omdemwiggy. Do you remember him driving to QPR?
Do you remember him? Oh, look at that. Gov sends you some money for a beer. Look at that. Appreciate the super.
Thanks, mate.
We'll absolutely make sure he gets that when we have our Christmas do in London. Yeah, on Monday, he didn't just drive to a club and no one.
He drove to QPR. He was outside the stadium and the cameras caught him.
Yeah, and the door was locked or something. Yeah, brilliant. Portsmouth got 3 for the price of 1. Pedro Mendes, Sean Davis, and no Paramo.
Yeah,
all sold to Portsmouth thanks to as he's put in the run sheet, Dangerous Dan, which is lovely. I
think there's a theme to all these things that Davo's put in the run sheet about. Is he trying to make Levy look bad? I don't know if that's the goal here.
I think he might be.
I used to love the pictures of Harry Redknapp driving up in his car though, and it's like deadline day. That was the good times.
Bring back Nico and
Crouchy.
Yeah,
Crouchy, go on.
There you go, Crouchy, go on.
I'll tell you one that there was. Sorry, I just thought of was we were trying to find a striker. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And then all the ITK online was like, "Oh, it's going to be Plan D," and we're like, "What the hell's Plan D?" And we signed Clint Dempsey right at the end of the window.
Oh,
Dempsey,
yeah,
Christ
I remember
almighty,
that.
yeah.
That was good.
That was painful. Daily Far Right Express saying Conte is getting £400 million to spend. That's not quite what they're saying, to be fair. They're saying we could spend £400 million, but then we'd probably be pretty broke, if I'm being really honest. So I don't expect that to happen. There we go. Best transfer memory, Klinsmann. Which time round, though? First time round was good, wasn't it? And then, of course, Alan Sugar saying I wouldn't clean his... Didn't he actually soil a shirt on his car or something, to make a point? I seem to recall. Elsewhere in the news this week, Stevie Gerrard has left Bonnie Scotland mid-season to take the reins at Villa. Do you think that's a mistake for him, Brendan? It's a bit of a shocker.
It's a bit of an up yours to Rangers fans. He sort of was giving it all the I'd never leave and the first Premier League team that comes along and he takes it. So it's not great for Rangers. Who they got now? They're talking about Van Bronckhorst and other Scottish managers as well. But yeah, interesting to see that. Then Lampard turned down Norwich, so Stevie G back in the Premier League as a manager. We'll see if he really can deliver. It's big news. I'm not sure if he is up to the standard of the Premier League as a manager, but it's the only way to find out. But it's funny how these players like Lampard and Gerrard do get fast tracked into big Premier League teams when others aren't given as much. But yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Gerrard's done more than Lampard did to get the Chelsea job, hasn't he? I mean, what did Lampard really do? He got Derby to the playoffs with a very, very expensive team at the time and failed. Whereas at least Gerrard sort of put Rangers back on the map in Scotland, doesn't he? Yeah.
Celtic fans would be celebrating 10 years of winning the championship if it wasn't for him. So it's a good. He has something about him. Let's see if he can do it in the Premier League.
And here's a question for you. You can play along in the chat. How many managers and what are the names that have been sacked so far in the Premier League? So can you name them all? Let's go, John. As it's your birthday, you can go first.
All of them or just one? Do you want me to go?
All of them.
Nuno, Dean Smith, Steve Bruce. Where's your impression?
Oh, it's the bacon, did you say?
There we go. Guy Norwich. Oh, Daniel Farker. And who's the fifth one?
Daniel, yes, that's nice.
Daniel Farker. The guy looks like a doorman, but speaks like a gentle giant. I can't remember the last one.
That's Sean Dyche, isn't it?
The Watford guy.
I can't remember his name.
What's the Watford guy's name?
The dong from Cisco.
Zisco Munoz.
Thong song, that's right. There we go. He's a goner as well. Who's going to be next? That's the question. Kerry, who's next out the door? Who's getting the sack in the Premier League?
Well, it's not Conte. We know that. Fingers crossed he's going to stay for years.
No, never count your chickens.
Depends how much he upsets you and Daniel, really.
Well,
I'll come back to you.
Leeds are struggling a little bit, aren't they?
Bielsa. Okay. Good shout. Take Bielsa. I'll take that. Brent?
Ole at the wheel. I think
really though, will he? Yeah. Because I mean, the guy seems to have more lives than a cat.
That's
great analogy there, caller.
It's why we won the El Sacico. We won that game. They won the 3 points, but we won that game. Had that not happened, maybe Nuno would have gone. Had we won that game, could Levy have sacked Nuno? No. We've got Conte. Who can they get? If Poch leaves PSG, who knows? But yeah, Ole's he's way over his head. He's way over his head.
I would just be devastated if Poch goes to Man United. That will.
It won't bother me. It's been a loser everywhere else he's been.
Well,
HG. Yeah, I did just call Poch a loser. And it came out of my head just like that. Who do you think's next? Do you agree, Ollie?
No. I think it should be Ollie, but I don't think it will be.
No, I don't.
And if you look around, Bielsa's a decent shout, but I think Leeds will give him time unless it's. We're talking 10 games after the season, and they might say, look, we have to do it now. Brendan Rodgers,
Really? He's not
Maybe.
going to get sacked.
He's
That's
gone
your
for it.
dream.
He's
That's
gone
just
for
what you want to happen. That's not going
No,
to
and the
happen.
thing is that you're right. Like, I don't think it will. But if you look at Hasenhüttl, again, it's which of those mid-table teams are going to be basically
Nice.
what Aston Villa are now, right? Where they're worried that they have to stop the rot. So if you're looking at Christmas time, who's got a bad run between now and January? Like Everton have a pretty bad run. But I don't think Benitez is going to get sacked. So it's going to be one of those teams. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think, like, is it only sackings, or are we talking about just managers leaving the club?
Well, we were talking about sackings, but if you want to talk about leaving, you can.
Because I mean, there are rumours, right, that Rodgers has this clause in his contract that if a Champions League club comes in for him, then he can go. And so, would United make that happen? That would be the interesting thing. I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be an obvious candidate right now as to who will be next.
Well,
that's why it's such a relief that we've got Conte now, isn't it? I think we had to get Conte before United got him.
Yeah.
I think that's why it all happened.
Dare I say,
100%.
Levy's at the wheel. How good does that feel? John, I'm just going to get slated for that. John, it was a joke. It was a joke. Who's next, John? Who's out the door?
Looking at the league, I think it might be Benitez because
Yeah,
if you go, I mean,
Really?
oh god, where's it gone?
That's a good shout.
they've got
Norwich,
really
have
tough
done,
run.
Norwich are doing it. Newcastle have done it. Burnley aren't going to sack Dyche. Watford have already changed. And they're going to give Ranieri a bit of time. Villa have changed. Leeds, I think Bielsa might walk rather than be sacked if he does go, because he doesn't tend to stay
squatting down, won't he? He'll walk like this.
Can you imagine a board meeting with Bielsa? Like you'd be sat at the end of the table as the chairman, and he squats down next to you.
Someone just buy him a space opera.
Brentford aren't going to sack Frank, are they? Southampton, I think you're right. I think Hasenhüttl's pretty safe. He's gone through 2 9-0 defeats and still survived. And then you're up to Leicester and Everton. Palace aren't going to get rid of Vieira.
Yeah, they're doing well.
I think Palace have had the second hardest start so far. They've played almost everyone good, and they're doing really well. So yeah.
And their recruitment's been, as Paul Muir's commented, their recruitment's been good. They've gone for these players at maybe not the elite level, and they're turning into very, very good players.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
Ed M makes a very good point here.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be
who could
many
they
more sackings. I don't think there'll be any more sackings. I think it's all finished now. It was a big rush, and it's done now. I don't think there'll be any sackings till maybe towards the end of the season.
No, I think come Christmas.
Like if I was going to bet, I'd be betting on Watford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
He's just arrived. He's literally just got there.
Yeah, I know,
Haven't
but this
gone,
is
mate.
Watford.
No, Wolves. Yeah, this comment, Wolves.
Yeah.
They're 8th, sorry.
They're doing well though.
Bruno Lage, isn't it?
Bruno Lage, they're doing well.
He's the Wolves manager. I mean, they're doing really well. I was chatting to my dad about it the other day. They've got a really tough run of games coming up, so they could drop a load of points now. But thankfully, from his perspective, they've been on a good little run recently. So taking some of the pressure off. And they're playing, much better football than they were under Nuno. And I think that's much welcome there as well.
Where do we think Nuno will end up then next?
Portugal?
I know we've got rid of him, but where do we think he'll go?
I don't know.
I agree with Caller. I think he'll go somewhere into a different country.
Yeah,
I don't think
you'll see him in the Premier League for a while. I mean, really, he only made his name. I think Wolves were the only team he managed in England before.
Maybe he'll go to Watford.
Maybe. Yeah, if he depends. If he wants an easy payday, he knows they'll sack him in like 6 months and pay him off. A bit like Spurs. I mean, you just go count your money, can't you? Like literally. There's no way he'll go back to Wolves, Paul.
He should go to Belenenses in Portugal because they're not doing great, and my friend Sandro is only making the bench. So Nuno has to go there, get Sandro in midfield, and get Belenenses up the league.
Shout out Sandro, the beast, legend,
Sandro
and Brendan's best mate. What about Roma? I hear that job might be available soon. No? I think
No,
Roma
we've got
might
to
be
surely have a Roma versus Conte. We've got to have that first before he
Yes,
goes.
but who will be in charge of
All in.
Roma by that point, Kerry? That's the question.
Jose will be in charge.
Really? I don't think he's going to last that much longer, is he? Is he not doing exactly the same he did at Spurs, not winning and pissing everyone off? I mean, pissing everyone off is fine when you're winning, isn't it? But when you start losing, it's a bit disaster prone. But look, we've been going an hour and 50 minutes, so I think we're going to call it a day there. I just want to thank you all very much. John, happy birthday once again from everyone in the cheese room.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to turning 50
Hang on, we
myself.
haven't done a silly dance from John because it's his birthday.
There's no room in this room for dancing.
I don't think you're going to get that, unfortunately.
Big fish, little fish, cardboard box. Big fish.
There you
little
go.
fish,
An
cardboard box.
honorary one from HG.
Magic Mike is our dancer, old HG.
There you go. Magic HG. Magic HG, thanks for joining us from Vienna. We'll be back Monday, obviously.
Yeah, I'll see you Monday. Absolutely.
Kerry, welcome to the cheese room, and thanks for making your debut with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Come back soon.
Enjoyed
And Brendan, thanks for coming over from the pod and being the legend that you are. And a nice holiday. I mean, working break awaits you in Mexico, right?
Yes. Firstly, Kerry, you smashed it. It was amazing. Well done.
Aw,
Great
thank
debut.
you.
And yeah, I'm off to Mexico in a few hours. I'm going to be off grid for a couple of weeks. Hopefully I come back alive and join the pod and the videos very soon. But thanks for having me on.
And
Enjoy yourself, Brent.
Who's stepping into your show, Brent?
Franco's doing the Mura review, which is the only one of the pod that I host that I'll miss. So look out for that one.
There you do. Please do remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button while you're there, and turn on your notifications too. And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.